There is something strange in the shadows of the trees, a creeping suspicion that not all who wander are lost. Some are knowingly led astray. Charlotte Perkins Gilman. In the thickest part of the woods, where no sunlight penetrates, the path diverges into the unknown, a place where evil lurks and the lost find only hunger. The Brothers Grimm. It was Saturday, and Jason Miller finally finished his chores. Now the rest of the day was officially his. He wolfed down the lunch his mother had prepared and was thinking about what to do with the rest of his day when a figure appeared on his driveway. It was a girl, and she was swinging a very large stick like a knight in shining armor in the fight of her life. Jason's mother caught sight of her. "Oh, great, your girlfriend is here," she said, a look of exasperated disapproval on her face. Jason immediately jumped off his chair and came to look out the kitchen window. Sure enough, Amber Collins was out there in her own little world of swords and sorcery. Jason groaned with secondhand embarrassment, even though he knew he would be joining her in that world very soon, and loving every moment of it. Jason flew to the bathroom, and just as he started brushing his teeth, Amber knocked on the door. Jason poked his head out of the bathroom and waved when Amber spotted him. She waved back and then shot him a thumbs up and a thumbs down. Jason gave her a thumbs up. It meant that he would be out shortly. "Bye, Mom," Jason said. "Be careful," his mom said. Jason said he will and closed the door behind him. He went out into the east field where Amber was back to swinging her stick at tall grass. "Took you long enough," she said. "What's up?" Jason shrugged. "Just got done with chores and ate lunch," he said. "What about you?" "You know Derek," she said. Jason nodded. "He said he wants to explore the woods today." "And?" Jason said. "What time did he say, and who else is coming?" Amber shrugged. "I don't know exactly. I know he's meeting some others by the hollow tree soon, though," she said. Jason threw his hands up in the air, frustrated. "Amber, what exactly did he say?" he said. "I didn't talk to him. My brother did, and he didn't really give me details," she said in a nonchalant tone. Jason ran his hands down his face. "Well, there's only one thing to do then," he said. Amber looked at him. "Oh yeah, what's that?" she said. "Go to the hollow tree," Jason said, and started marching south towards the woods behind his home. "Come on." The town of Graywood, New Hampshire is full of local legends. The hollow tree is at the center of many of them. The name of the town comes from the number of birch trees that grow in the woods. It has the highest concentration in the whole state. From the right vantage points, the land is a haunting vision of pale sentinels among the shadowed canopy of the forests. Even from the beginning, Graywood was thought to be a cursed place. Jason and the kids of the town all grew up with strange bedtime stories. By the time they were old enough to go out and explore on their own, they learned that's all they were. Just stories. The hollow tree was down the hill, across a brook, then past a swamp, and back up a hill until one came to the hollow tree. It got its name from the kid-sized hole in the center of its trunk. The tree itself is an ominous-looking thing. Its leaves and bark are both almost pure black. The branches hang down like fingers ready to snatch a passerby into the canopy. None of the kids have ever had a weird experience with the tree, not even when some of them have come there by themselves. The adults all seem spooked by it, though. The kids did have to admit that there was at least one oddity that could be termed spooky or supernatural about the tree. It was the fact that no animal would go near it. Not even bugs would touch it. The ground around it was barren and dry. Nothing would grow near it. Still, Jason and the others refused to believe that the cause was some sort of curse. Curses aren't real. They aren't babies anymore, and they don't believe in all that nonsense. Jason and Amber heard Derek Vasquez and some others talking before they saw them. Jason recognized Derek's close friend, Kyle Richards. Also, Ryan Turner and Sophie Blake were there. When they came into the clearing, Jason also saw Megan Hart, who was standing to the side, watching the group talk, but not contributing anything of her own. She's always just tagged along and has been too shy to really speak up for herself. Plus, Jason is pretty sure she has a major crush on Kyle. Her personality's polar opposite. Go figure. Derek, who was sitting in the crook of the hollow, spotted them first. He smiled and waved at Amber. He always had a thing for her. As for Jason, he basically ignored him. They had an unspoken rivalry, one that Jason never asked to be a part of. "Hey guys, glad you could join us," he said, coming over to them. "We were just going over the plan." "Plan?" Jason said. "Amber said you guys wanted to explore the woods or something." Kyle came over. "Not just anywhere in the woods, dude," he said, slinging an arm around Derek's shoulders. "We want to go to the drain land." Jason groaned. "Guys, that's a no-go zone. Our parents would kill us," he said. Almost as soon as the words were out of his mouth, he knew he'd just messed up. Kyle made chicken wings out of his arms and clucked. Derek just laughed. Sophie came to Jason's side and touched his arm. She gave him a sympathetic look before turning a baleful gaze on the others. "Come on, knock it off," she said. "He's right, you know. Maturity never was their strong suit," Ryan said. "Besides, all these idiots want to do is look for ghosts. It's dumb." Derek shot him a scathing look, the laughter gone. "Oh yeah? Then why are you here then? Go ruin somebody else's fun," he said. Ryan gave him a pitying look. "Honestly, I would let you guys be stupid all on your own, but I got nothing else better to do. Might as well watch you morons utterly fail," he said. Jason could see that Derek was getting heated and stepped in. Okay, he said. Derek and Kyle both turned to him with knowing grins. Ryan clicked his tongue and muttered something under his breath. Sophie tightened her grip on his arm. "Are you sure?" she said. "What if we find something? You know, like real?" Jason looked into her worried eyes. "We'll do the smart thing and just walk away," he said, then jerked a thumb at the hollow tree. "Besides, if we would have seen something scary, it would have been by this creepy thing," he said. She smiled at him. "Yeah, I guess you're right," she said. Amber smacked her stick against a tree. The stick snapped, making Derek and Kyle jump. "Come on, let's go already. I'm getting bored," she said. This was Derek's cue. "All right, everyone, follow us," he said. He and Kyle headed the column of kids. They were followed by Ryan and Megan. Behind them was Amber, and behind her walked Jason and Sophie. None of them really needed Derek or Kyle to be guides to the drain land. They all knew where it was. They had already gone there, but they had never actually gone inside the perimeter. Drainland was a labyrinth of drain pipes that ran underneath Route 9, intersecting between the different towns. Since the towns were all so far away from each other, the drains went through miles and miles of wilderness. The biggest intersection was just at the limit of Graywood Township on the eastern border. Last time they went there, they stopped at the no trespassing sign on the chain link fence. Not to mention, there was barbed wire running across the top. Yet all that wouldn't have stopped them if they really wanted to go inside. The reason is that the fence was already compromised, meaning there was a giant hole in it. The strange thing was that whatever made the hole didn't look like they were breaking in. The metal was bent the wrong way. It looked more like someone or something had broken out. The line of young hikers moved through the woods in almost grim determination. Somehow, the gravity of what they were doing seemed to be sinking into their bones. Jason pictured the drain pipes in his mind. They were big enough that they would only have to crouch a little to walk into. He imagined that the pipes would smell and be filled with rats and spider webs, maybe even something unnatural. He was relishing this chance for adventure less and less. He could see from Sophie's expression that she was having some similar thoughts. Ahead, Derek and Kyle were being loud-mouthed and goofy as usual. Derek was showing off, swinging from branches and leaping off rocks. He really did think he was the greatest thing on two legs. Kyle made everything into a joke. He, Derek, and even Ryan would laugh at some of the things he said. Megan was often smiling, and sometimes she was even blushing when Kyle happened to look her in the eyes. Amber was in her own world again. She swung her stick back and forth, chopping at moose maple and smacking tree trunks. Everyone gave her a wide berth. "Is it just me, or does this idea really suck?" Jason said. When Sophie looked up, he smiled at her. She gave him a small smile back. "Probably," she said. "Hey, Amber," Derek said, cupping his hands to his mouth. "Come up here." Amber looked up. "What?" she said. "Come on," Derek said. "I found this awesome stick." A rueful grin spread on Jason's face. Nothing like a good stick to get Amber interested. "I see you, Derek," he thought. Amber moved to the head of the column. As they continued to move, she inspected this supposedly awesome stick. Amber must have concurred with Derek's opinion on the stick, because she had soon abandoned the old one for the new. A big smile was on her face as she swung it around. "Dang, this is a good find," she said, hitting another poor tree. "Thanks." Derek smiled, pleased with himself. "Yeah, no problem," he said. He continued to create banter with her, though Amber was not as interested in him as she was in the stick and her own imagination. As everyone else became immersed in their own conversations, they all lost track of time. That is, until Jason saw something that should have been impossible. "Hey guys," he said. The others ahead looked back but didn't stop. "Hold up!" He waved his hands above his head to be better seen. "Get back here." "Why, dude?" Derek said, annoyed. "I just want to get there already." "What's wrong?" Sophie said. Then her question is answered as she looks down. She gasps. "Oh no." Now everyone is getting curious, though Derek is still annoyed. He stomps to the back of the line where Jason and Sophie stand in shocked silence. "Seriously, this better not be a joke," he said. He choked when he saw it too. A moment later, they all saw it. None of them believed what they were seeing. It didn't make any sense. There, on the ground where Amber had tossed it, was her old stick. Amber stepped forward, kneeled, and then grabbed it up. She examined it, confirming what everyone already knew. "This is my stick," she said, bewildered. "But how? Did we really just walk in a circle?" Sophie said. Ryan shook his head. "Obviously. Otherwise, how would we end up back here?" Jason shook his head. "Guys, think about it. The sun has been at our backs the whole time. If we really got turned around, we would have had the sun in our eyes," he said. This made everyone go stone silent. Even Kyle was all out of gags. In fact, his face looked quite pale. As usual, Derek was the first to move the conversation into a call to action. "Look, whatever. We got turned around," he said. "I don't know what happened. I do know that we need to get moving. It's getting kind of late. I can't be out too late, guys," Megan said, her voice coming out small. "My dad will be mad." They all knew about Mr. Hart's famous temper. "If that's the case, we should start heading back," Ryan said. "What?" Kyle said. "We can't turn back after coming all this way. If we keep going and get to the drainland, then we won't have time to explore," Sophie said. "We should try another day." Jason agreed. "Yeah, we must have lost like an hour with this little detour," he said. Derek growled. "Oh, come on," he said, throwing his hands up. "You guys just don't want to be creeped out because you're all scared," he said. Jason didn't want to give him the satisfaction of telling Derek that he was absolutely correct. He was scared, but not so much of goblins and ghouls. He just didn't want to spend the day in dark tunnels with whatever creepy crawlies were lurking there. Gross. "Look, it isn't anybody's fault," Ryan said. "We all should have noticed when we got turned around." This seemed to cool Derek's jets. "Yeah, all right," he said, sullen. "I guess we can try again tomorrow." Amber shrugged and threw the stick back down, not wanting it back. That seemed to end the discussion. With that, they all started to head back. This time, Derek and Kyle hung back, while Jason and Sophie took the lead. It took a while, but the group eventually gained their spirits back and started to joke around like normal. Even Jason and Sophie joined in. About 30 minutes later, all laughter died when Megan cried out in dismay. They all looked around, wondering what was wrong. It did not take them long to realize what made her scream. "No way," Kyle said. "It can't be," Sophie said, her voice sounding frightened. Ryan and Derek were silent, their faces nervous. Amber and Jason stepped forward. This time, it was Jason who picked up the stick. None of them needed any reassurance that it was indeed the same one they had left behind for the second time. Megan started to cry. "Guys, I'm scared," she said. "Are we lost?" Ryan spoke up, though without his usual arrogant confidence. "No, of course not. We just messed up again," he said. "So it wasn't my fault," Derek said. His eyes were wild. "What is happening? We should all know these woods now. We haven't gotten lost in years." That much was true. Within a certain radius of their homes, they each knew the woods very well. Jason gripped the stick hard, his throat feeling too tight. His heart hammered in his chest. That when he realized something else that was strange. "Do you guys hear that?" he said, looking around the forest. The others looked at him confused. That's when Sophie's eyes lit up with sudden revelation. "I hear it," she said. Amber caught on as well, her breath catching in her throat. "Anyone want to clue me in here?" Kyle said. "Listen," Jason said. They all stilled and went quiet and listened. To their mounting horror, there was nothing to listen to. The air was a shroud of unbroken, unnatural silence.